and that eventually turns into the design of the Sears Tower. Yeah, all inspired by a box of cigarettes. That's how we get that whole thing with bundled tubes. Now, with that being said, the Sears Tower still can and still does sway in the wind. If we're talking numbers, about 50-mile-per-hour winds, that's roughly 6 inches worth of wind sway. So that's not too bad, right? If you bump that up to large 200-mile-per-hour gusts of wind, at that point, the Sears Tower can sway about 18 inches in any direction. Or at most, it can safely sway up to 3 feet at most. That's like pretty insane, but also very unnatural and has never happened throughout time. So, most days you can safely go up towards the top of the building, and publicly speaking, you can get up to floor 103 out of the 110 floors in total. So that is where the sky deck is located. Has anyone been to the sky deck? Oh, lots of you guys. Incredible. If you haven't been, add it to your list. It's a full 360 view of the entire downtown area, an incredible observatory. So if you've never been before, it's definitely a great way to experience it from all the way up top. Now, if you want to skip that, save your money, don't even want to mess with the elevators, well, then in that case, you're going to have to climb the Sears Tower. I don't recommend that. 2 people have successfully done that throughout Chicago's history. 1981, there was an American man by the name Dan Goodwin who climbed the Sears Tower wearing a full Spider-Man costume, and he had suction cups which he strapped to his wrists and ankles and climbed all to the top. The other was a Frenchman in 1999 by the name of Alain Robert, but he did it without any safety equipment on whatsoever. He used his bare hands and feet and wedged himself in between a gap up the side. So you can see videos of that one on YouTube, and it's pretty spectacular. Now, I am happy to say that both men made it to the top of the building, and when they both got up there, they were greeted by the Chicago Fire Department, and then arrested, because it is illegal to do that. So keep that in mind if you did have the thought of trying to climb the skyscraper. I don't know, do we have any rock climbers on board? That'd be kind of fun. Alright, never mind. Now, we have all sorts of fun things to do around town. Skydeck, of course, is one of them. But, you know, we have things like the Field Museum, the Shed Aquarium. You can go catch a baseball game in Wrigley Field, right? You got all sorts of theater opportunities. For example, here to the right, it's one of our theaters. Inside that central area is Civic Opera House, and it happens to be the second largest opera house in the United States. About 3,600 people can fit inside there. And it's a beautiful theater. It's a home of the Lyric Opera of Chicago as well as the Joffrey Ballet, but there's also things like Broadway in Chicago where all the touring shows pass through. They operate out of some theaters like the Nederlander and the Palace as well as the Auditorium. So there's always a great show to go see. Live concerts all around town. Lollapalooza's coming through once again for a couple weeks. Don't use public transit on those days, take it from me. But always so many fun things, so many activities. Now here to the left, up at the top, you can see another steel truss with this building. So this is the Boeing building, and the Boeing building is actually being kept in place partially because of that steel truss, which is suspending it from above. I mean, once again, you run into
I can't even get my phone all the way over there. They're so big.
But this is known as the Boeing building because back in 2001, this became Boeing's international headquarters.
I'm on YouTube.
They stuck around here in Chicago for right around 20 years or so. They are currently in the process of relocating those headquarters now to Arlington, Virginia. But if you go back to 1990 when this building first opened, this is planned out to be the headquarters for the Morton Salt Company. Yeah,
look at that.
Look up at the top, you can see 6 holes across the roof, and they were specifically designed to resemble holes of a salt shaker.
I'm sorry.
That's absolutely true. Nowadays,
absolutely
Morton
nothing.
Salt still operates in Chicago. And here's where things get fun. They now operate, their offices are inside River Point Tower. And if you remember, River Point Tower is shaped like a giant Hot Pocket, and Hot Pockets are stuffed full of a lot of sodium, so they're all worked out.
Nice, I like that.
Right? I mean, as far as I know, that was by coincidence, that was by design, but still.
Look at this building.
Now, my friends, we got some time to kill as we're making our way back to Wolf Point here.
Look at the train.
You know, we got so the L train is passing just behind me.
Look at that view.
Green Line train in this case. Got some beautiful buildings and much more to see on our way back. But you know, in the spirit of salt, we also got great food options around town. One of them's right over here. This is beatnik on the river. I really do love beatnik. It's Mediterranean fusion food. They put their own little spin on it. It's really delicious. Their crudo was really good in my opinion. But you can also stop at lunch, grab yourself a cocktail, beautiful location next to the water.
They got a
If
bar
you're going
right
to move
behind
some, like
us.
Chicago style food, we got that for you too. You know, deep dish pizza,
bar.
Chicago style hot dogs, Italian beef
Oh, no,
sandwiches. Actually, do we have anyone who's a fan of the Hulu show The Bear? Also premieres on FX, I believe. Incredible. If you've never seen that show before and you would like to dine in the restaurant where they filmed the show, it's called Mr. B. It's pretty close by, fairly close by to maybe here, more close to Michigan Avenue. It's in the River North neighborhood. You can stop by and actually have an Italian beef sandwich in the place where they filmed that show. So that's pretty cool. Actually, speaking of filming location, here to the right, this right here is the new Bean building, but you might recognize it as Ferris Bueller's dad's office building and Ferris Bueller's day off. He works at the top, specifically the scene where he's looking upon the parade. But yes, this is another building from 1983, much like what we saw with Gateway Center 4. With the new Bean building, the curve of the building was specifically designed to match the curve of the river. Contextualism in full display. That also takes us here to the Chicago Riverwalk. Now this Riverwalk is a long time coming. See, plans for this date back to, well, even the early 1900s, but construction did not officially begin until 2003. It wasn't even fully completed until 2016, but we're very happy that it is now here and fully operational. The Riverwalk itself is about 1.3 miles worth of walkable path, and it starts in Wolf Point, goes all the way to the lakefront. Especially during the summertime, it gets very lively. You got pop-up events and live concerts, bars, restaurants open, and yeah, another great day of just representing how Chicago is doing its best to really complement and embrace our waterways. All right, let's jump back here to the left. Now, this is the merchandise mart once again. But you can see from this angle just how large this building actually is. So what you're taking a look at is 4.2 million square feet worth of total space. For some perspective, that is roughly 73 football fields worth of office space. And this building, it held the record as the largest by square foot building in the world when it first opened in 1930, and held on to the record for 13 years up until it was beat out by the Pentagon. Now, take a look here to the right. You see that glass box, the black and gray one? If you take a look closely, you can see there are actually projectors inside there. If you want a fun and free activity to do this evening, there's an art exhibit known as Art on the Mart, where they project digital artwork onto the side of this building and light it up like a giant canvas. It's been going on since 2018, but it's lots of fun, absolutely free. I think it happens tonight at about 8:30 p.m. So if you're in the area, might as well stop on by and have yourself a drink and check out Art on the Mart.
Chicago school.
I mean, that, again, is just another great example of how Chicago is embracing this Chicago River. And this is so different than how things used to be. I mean, back in our industrial days, mid-1800s again, this river was not good. It was a mess. It was basically two things, if we're being honest, and that would be sewage water and industrial waste. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, you see, the natural current of the river used to take all that polluted water and empty it directly into Lake Michigan. But the problem is, Lake Michigan still, to this very day, is the source of Chicago's drinking water. Yep, I'm going to let you connect the dots with that one. We were basically poisoning ourselves, and we had to make some major changes. So what do you do in a situation like that? Well, we did try a few things, but what we ultimately decided, what if we just reverse the current of the river? I'm going to say it again. What if we reverse the current of the Chicago River? How do you do that? Well, the plan was, if you could just dig a canal about 28 miles in length to link together the south branch of the Chicago River, which just used to end, to be formally disconnected, thus Plains River further down, doing its own thing over here, and you combine those bodies of water together by digging deep down at a slope like this, you could basically just suck all of the water from Lake Michigan and the Chicago River, and then have it go into the Des Plaines, the Mississippi, which connects to the Gulf, and you can just flush it all downstream. Who's that going to? Oh, St. Louis, Missouri. They can just deal with it instead. So that is what we did. This took us 8 years to complete. Between 1892 and the year 1900, we dug that canal, and we released the dams when we were not supposed to, and we flushed it all away. St. Louis was not happy with us. Let's just put it that way. There was a full lawsuit involved that we had to clear up. I mean, that had a lot of complications throughout the years. I mean, it has to do with our corrupt politicians throughout the years, if we're being honest. You know that's how we get our name? It doesn't have to do with the wind, actually. Although it is quite windy here. No, it's because articles out of places like St. Louis, but more importantly, New York City, were calling our politicians windbag blowhards, doing nothing but hot air. And so that's how that name came to be, Windy City. You get it. Anyways, that river reversal came with some good and not so good, but it all worked out. It's looking much more clean today. Now let's give a quick shout out here to the right-hand side, 55 West Wacker. Some docents call this the Danny DeVito building because it's short and a little weird looking. But Danny DeVito is a well-respected actor, so I won't say that. Now this is a style known as brutalism. It comes from the French term béton brut, meaning raw concrete. That's the key material with those buildings. Once again, it's fairly simplistic and functional. Came around the time of international style 1970s.
Legal season.
So let's go ahead and cleanse our palate from all that nasty stuff. And let's move along back to something a little bit more comfortable, something a little bit more lavish, and take us right on back to Art Deco. Now, I hope that you have been enjoying your architectural buffet so far, but we do need a drink to go along with our meal. Yes, just in front of us, we got the green building with gold on top. It's known as the Carbide and Carbon building, and it's designed pulling heavy inspiration from the facade of a champagne bottle. You can kind of see it there with the green and gold color. Now, the question is, why? Well, it's an Art Deco building from 1929, designed by the Burnham brothers, but basically the mindset was, it's being built around the same time as Prohibition, and what better way to protest Prohibition than getting a giant champagne bottle building and putting it right in the middle of the city of Chicago. That gets the point across. We would like to drink alcohol, and hey, luckily we got our way. We got a bar open in the back. Go grab another drink. But then also, the gold at the top that you see here, that is real 24 karat gold. Now, before anyone puts on a Spider-Man costume, I should let you know it is not solid gold. It's only about 1/5,000 of an inch thick gold leaf, but it really does add that lovely accent piece. I really do love this building because it kind of looks like something out of the Emerald City, Wicked Wizard of Oz, depending on the generation. But then also, about halfway up, you can actually grab yourself a glass of champagne at the Champagne Bottle building. They have a rooftop bar there, and the building altogether is going to be Henry Hotel. Now, also to the right, we got some more hotels. Another great rooftop bar is at the top of the London House, known as the LH Rooftop Bar. That's where I would recommend if you want a good photo opportunity or you just want an incredible view of this entire area and you don't have to pay for it. Well, that's the one I recommend. They have a free skating room, so you can just grab yourself a drink or
just two right
now and appreciate the view. Especially as the sun goes down and the lights come up, it's pretty spectacular. Now next
house,
to
they got a
the tall,
rooftop.
skinny Mather Tower. This year is a neo-Gothic building from about 1928. It's mainly terracotta, except for the very top. You see the bright white color? That is painted aluminum. See, terracotta is a very fragile building material, so you've got to be careful with it. And, well, in this case, it just had to do with weather cycles of expanding and contrasting over the years. Started to chip away and fall, so it had to be completely replaced by that painted aluminum dome.
Alright, y'all, get ready to end this.
Now we're going to jump back here to the
I'll
left-hand
allow
side.
y'all
We've got
later on.
Tribune Tower coming up. That's the